Hey, it is Tuesday, a very special Tuesday. It is, this is Trekland, and we are live. Everybody with me? Let's get this over here. Boom. All right. Very special Tuesday. I guess we're fine. And there we go. It's a very special Tuesday. It's our 6th anniversary show, otherwise known as episode 308 of Trekland Tuesdays Live. Boom, with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming to you right here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and by way of Trekland Treks for some sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. We've got hopefully a special show today. And there you go. It's official. It's upside down. We're not in distress. It's our 6th anniversary show. So thank you, Scott, for the special logo. It's right up there too. Yay. Boom. I've got a lot going on today. We will eventually get to your chat. If you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, you picked a great day to join us. You'll see the chat. Make sure you're watching out there because we're going to have people popping in from all over the globe. Our regular Trekland Tuesdays Live community, the TTLers, are going to be here. I've got a poll. If you're on my newsletter list, and you can do that over at larrynemechek.com, get on my newsletter list, and usually at least once a month, maybe more, I get out a newsletter with what's going on in Trekland and maybe some views beyond what you get here or on my blog. We normally have a flash poll, just a single question, single answer poll. And I like to share those here on Tuesdays Live. And we had a doozy for the first time in a long time last week, a simple doozy. And I'm going to share that in a little bit. Also, we also have a drawing. And if it's too late now, but if you got in, if you registered with a comment on any of my YouTube channel, so I can see it, I can see all the recent comments on any video, and you're subscribed, and a lot of people are on some kind of private subscribe. Anyway, you can tell if you're subscribed to me or not. Now, don't do it now. It's too, well, you can go subscribe anytime. But for the drawing, we're going to do this a little bit later. I'm keeping my eye on the clock because we might have a special guest bopping in with the tech allowing, the wilds of Hollywood allowing. So, and of course, the poll, I'm hoping, which the question was, what is your favorite era of modern Star Trek? And by modern, I mean post 2017. Kelvin movies were 6 hours spread over 10 years. They're not even done yet. They were always kind of just like a placeholder. They're treading water. They were great to get a lot of you involved. A lot of folks came to Star Trek through the Kelvin movies. Thank you. And they kind of placeholdered for the mainstream media who loves to talk about how franchises are dead and, nattering nabobs of negativism. Thanks, my old friend Spiro Agnew, coming up with that one. We're going to proceed here in just a second, but we will get around to the regular chat as usual. Okay. Oh, I hope we're not having a stream issue. We'll see what's going on. So first off, I just want to say hello and thank you. And here's a reminder now, as you come on the chat, remember, and you see what everybody else is doing, introduce yourself. If you want to give the weather report, if you want to give the language report from where you are, that's cool too. We've got folks from at least normally 3 continents. We'll see. But just remember that if you are on Facebook, you're only seeing the Facebook comments. If you're on YouTube or even Twitch, you're seeing the comments from all 3 platforms, okay? And you know what? If you're watching us live right now, that's great. If you're watching us later, I wish you could have been here live, but even then, drop a comment, of course, and I will get back around and answer when I can. But if you're here live, it's so great to see you all. Yeah, it's been 6 years. 6 years. I can't believe it's been a year since I did a big 5th anniversary episode. And I played the introduction from what became Trekland Tuesdays #1, which started off to be just get online, as my entrepreneur friend said. Just get out there. When the big question was, do I do Periscope or do I do Facebook Live? Within a week after responding to, the motivation was, okay, Looks like we're going to have our guest delayed slightly, but we'll see what's going on. Hey, that was just the idea, was to get on live. And I played a little clip of that. I was responding to the very first Discovery trailer when the world blew up. Do you remember this? Early in 2017? Well, I guess it was about late April, early May. And then by the second week, I went, okay, I need to do this all the time, apparently, because the world needs a little bit of calming and somewhere between calming down and smarting up. So I need to share a little bit of the savvy that I share with the Portales with the world at large. So yeah, that was the roots. And then pandemic brought on my great 2-year podcast with Dr. Ali Matu, Life Support Live, but the ability finally to realize, and as the tech rose for the streaming era and the podcast era, the survival, how to do this as a one-man band without needing another crew. And who knows where the tech revolution will keep taking us. But that's when we got to start multi-streaming and get over to YouTube. And yeah, I'm just so thrilled to have everybody here. Why don't I just let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I don't want to try and debate how to spend my time here. Nope, let's see. You know what? I may just dive in and look and see what everybody's saying already, since this is kind of a special show. I'm going to start in with the chat right at this moment. I'm going to keep you in suspense about the poll and for sure keep you in suspense about the drawing. And as I do that, here's a good chance to say thank you to all of our Patreon folk there as I get myself branded in the head. Hey, this is my Patreon. It's very small and simple, but effective. Thank you all. My TTL clubbers, thank you so much to Diana Hapkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Pranakasha Productions, Comedy Forecast, thank you, Clint, and Andrew Jazimski, and our live wires, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Herbert Goodjohnson, Alan Hohensi, David Gregory, Tobias Rex, Donna Runyon, and Kay Sushavsky. Hey, yes, they're on because they can add a little bit to the Patreon. I want to thank you all for that. If you want to know about the Patreon, you can find me very easily. There's 2 levels, the $5 and the $10. You get a shout out, and the $10 folks, it's time for me to renew this, get access to the early behind the stage interviews from the first few years of Portal 47, which is now itself going on. Oh my gosh, it'll be 7 years itself. No, that can't be right. 23, it'll be 8 years this fall. Anyway, did you see that? It's patreon.com/Trekland Live. That's how to get in. So I want to thank you guys for that. Let me just start on the chat. What I'm doing here is treading water until our guest is able to join us, and I will bring him or her in from the wilds of Hollywood. Let me see what's happening here. So glad that you all could make it. Thank you again for the Patreons. Thank you again for everybody who's with us every week. Thank you guys for trying out YouTube and subscribing there. The count keeps inching up. You know, I'm madly making up for lost time there. And if you look around YouTube, especially the people that pretend to talk about Trek, and some of them that have 250,000 subscribers, and you wonder why. But it's so good to see so many folks over here. Cairo and Linda and Zahir and Christoph and Mona and Dur Alta. Everybody's nice wishes here. Linda. Hey, Carl. Thank you. Nathaniel. Hey, Alan. If I was bopping these up, we would tie up the stream. So we're going to see what's happening. Yes. Yeah, like and subscribe on all channels, but not now. Hey, Matt. It's good to see you, Mr. Pranakasha. Well, Mona, okay, I guess we can take write-in answers. Your favorite era is now. That's not what I meant. I meant era by season and by subsets of seasons. Here, I'll just tell you. I'll tell you what the categories were. I'll hold off on the results for just a minute, okay? I I basically said, what's your favorite era of modern Trek? And here's how I broke it down, because it's an option only poll, right? I said, what's your favorite era? Because I've seen this as kind of a rumbling online. People talk this way when they compare notes now. I had Discovery season 1 and 2 as a category, Discovery 3 and 4 as a category, obviously Picard season 1 and 2. Oh, this is live action, by the way. I specified live action. So we're going to totally take, for the most part, the animated quotient out of this. All right. Picard season 1 and 2, Picard season 3, Strange New Worlds season 1, and then I had some catch-alls. I watch, but I really don't have a favorite. Oh my God, I can't choose among them. So a little extremes there on the spectrum of positivity. I've never watched post 2017 Star Trek, so I just kept it very neutral. But if you wanted to say that, you sure could. And then I even had one that said, I'd rather pick one of the animateds. Didn't get into it, but I just left that as an option. So, I mean, we've had an interesting few months watching our Trek, and we'll see what I have to share with you in just a little bit. Let me keep going back through the well, there you go. Matthew, I get it, Matt. I get it. You're old school. TOS is best. Although, you know, you never watch YouTube at all, Matt? Never, ever, ever, ever. Thank you, Michael Seuss. Yay. Well, as you will say, Duralta, I always think of you folks, because I'm sometimes in that same way when it's not Star Trek. And it's like, don't make me think. Don't make me think. Let me see here. What is this coming to us from Canada? Thank you, Michael. Today's Crave channel in Canada had an itsy bitsy teeny weeny Strange New World season 2 clip with Mariner, Singh, Pike, and Boimler visible. Oh, really? Okay, I haven't checked. Maybe so. This is a very crazy week, you all. Do you know what all is happening this week? Well, Saturday, I'll tell you this at the end. Saturday, I'm going at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm hosting the next edition of Hailing Frequencies Open for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. They've had great speakers and panels so far. And Saturday, we're going to go talk about Nichelle and her impact and legacy with someone who knew her quite well, and someone you know quite well, the great Walter Koenig. So it's Walter and me for an hour at 10 a.m. Saturday on their YouTube channel, and we'll be sharing the link for that later on. Then on Monday, right? Yes, Monday, all the gang, Sirach Lofton and all the gang at Seventh Rule, Ryan and all that bunch have created, for equal time, a Captain Sisko Day. They came up with the day. I helped them a little bit, looking at the star dates and figuring the 1,000 star dates to a year. The date that Sisko came aboard, reported to the DS9 station. Up. I can get back with all this in a minute. I think there we are, gang. I'm just going to bring this guy in. This is going to be interesting. Hey, Bill, can you hear me?
Hi, Larry. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hey, everybody. This is Bill Wolkoff, who is senior on staff at Strange New Worlds, but he's not right now. We congratulate you. I feel like an old school magician, Bill, because I want to say, now, sir, you and I have never met before in real life prior to this moment, have we?
So hard to hear out here. I just had to put in my earbuds.
Oh, okay.
Now I can hear. Now I hear you well. Okay.
Good. No, well, that's good. Hey, we're pulling this off because you're in the wilds of Hollywood there on the picket line.
Yes, we are at CBS TV City right now. Where our picket has been going for the last. This is day 15 of our picket, so you're getting a writer on the line right now.
Well, the only thing you missed when I was bringing you on, introducing and saying you were one of the elder writers in the room at Strange New Worlds, and congratulations for that. I mean, on the ladder.
definitely one of the elder writers in that room. Yes.
I didn't. I meant by the writing ladder. I meant yeah. No, the only thing I said was I feel like an old school magician because I wanted to say, now, sir, we have never met before this moment live, although we've been talking on Instagram, I think, Messenger, one of the messengers. But no, I mean, we're, you know, I think most of fandom a lot of fandom remembers the 07 strike, and we were, you know, very much there. So how does it feel? It's 15 days. In fact, I saw a post today from some writer who basically said they estimated how much the studios were losing every day of the strike, and after 15 days, like 40 million a day or 50 million a day. Anyway, the amount so far they lost was more than what the writer's total package for 3 years amounted to, which puts it all kind of in context.
Yes, I mean, this is it's a labor action. It's about labor relations. Where I'm out here fighting because the way that studios and companies use streaming services now, they have found ways to diminish the role and presence of writers, and the middle class and writers is finding it harder and harder to make a living. It's most writers in my position are lucky if they work 10 to 20 weeks a year. I will say that I'm one of the lucky ones that working on Strange New Worlds, our showrunners fought very hard to make sure that the writers get to stay on and produce their episodes. And to Paramount's credit, you know, they always signed off on that. But I'm kind of the exception that proves the rule. There are more writers that I know that work just, you know, a small fraction of time when writing is still happening on the shows, and they're rolled off. And it's what's happening to our profession is that writers who work so hard to get into the guild and start writing professionally find that it's impossible to make it a career where they only have one job, and they still have to hold multiple jobs in order to make ends meet. And that's because of the ways that studios and companies, really the streaming services and the tech companies and the Wall Street mentality that drives these companies.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, it's that Wall Street. Well, I don't want to, they're all a unit. They're all, I have to stop and think. It's the AMTPT. It's the AMPTP.
AMPTP.
Yeah.
That's
the producers are everybody.
union.
But really what's driving this is all the new players in the room. Netflix and Prime. And I mean, you have to keep one side of the table and the other side of the table. But what you're just saying there is all the new boys in the game are the ones who are kind of driving this and the revolution going. I mean, as an audience, people go, oh, the streaming shows the quality seems higher, or gee, I sure miss having 20 episodes a year. I have to wait a year to get 10 more of my favorite show. And that's the audience perspective. But that all that revolution has a real world impact on not just the writers. I mean, the actors and directors and IATSE crew are all waking up to what this means too.
And to that, I would say, it's going to be upsetting when people don't get to have their shows the way they want to, and they're right to be angry. But what I would say to that is they should be angry at the studios and the companies. Our negotiating team had very reasonable proposals. What we are asking for is to fairly share in the success of our work when it's successful for the companies. And what we're asking for is less than 2% of all of the profits that they make from our work alone. And we had a list of proposals, fair and reasonable proposals, that the studios and companies roundly ignored. They 9 of the key proposals that would protect the career of writing, they, in all the months that we were negotiating, they never once countered on them. That's not negotiating. And we don't want to be out here, but we have to be out here, and we will be out here for as long as it takes to get a fair deal. And to those people who are going to miss their shows once that really starts to show in effect, like, I understand why you'd be angry, and you should call the AMPTP and tell them to come back to the table and make a fair deal with us. We're ready to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it affects the industry in different ways. Like the live shows, the talk shows every night, Saturday Night Live, they're off already. The Star Trek series are kind of stocked up until next year. So Trek fans, who I think by and large are on your side, and that's another thing. I know the 07-08 strike, which a lot of us remember, and I was there. That was about embracing the future and what the internet was going to bring. But I think the onset of social media let you all, I mean, it was a new wrinkle for everything. And I think the labor strike, for the first time, you all were able to appeal to the public and explain your case. And it wasn't, this is a Hollywood thing, or, it's those elitist writers. They're like actors. They're all rich, which is silly. But it's like anything. There's a 1%, 2%, and then there's everybody else. And there's people on the bottom, like you said, the entry level folks trying to get in, and the people trying to have a living and pay their rent and have a family. But I really think the 08-07 strike was a great job of not just getting the public on your side, but of explaining the issues and getting it across and having. How does it feel like that's going so far this time?
We have real union solidarity. We had a member meeting the first week of our strike at the Shrine Auditorium, and leaders from every major guild came into the Shrine that day. Most notably, we had one of the executive directors for SAG-AFTRA, who is leading their negotiation, Duncan Crabtree Ireland. We had John Avnet of the DGA, and most notably, we had Michael T. Miller, the vice president of TV and motion pictures for all of IATSE, and that was very different than the 07 strike. IATSE was not on our side in 07, yeah. And this time they came out and were very supportive of what we're doing, and the Teamsters, Lindsay O'Doherty, head of a local Teamsters in Los Angeles. She's amazing. She also came out and spoke, and Teamsters are honoring our picket lines and turning away their trucks when they see our pickets. We have so much solidarity out here, and that's really historic compared to the way labor actions have been in the past. Right. And I'll say it again. I know I just said it. A lot of the things we're fighting for are the same things that SAG-AFTRA is fighting for, and that IATSE will be fighting for eventually when they're up next, and that the DGA is about to start fighting for right now in their negotiations. So the gains that we make will help labor in all of our other unions. And we were also joined by IBEW and by plasterers and cement masons. There's been, and on the lines, I've seen SEIU, TAG 839 has the animation writers and artists. They're out in force supporting us. So there's been nothing but solidarity on our lines.
Well, the bottom line is, this isn't about, we want 10%. Well, we'll give you 5%. Okay, we'll settle for 7%. I mean, it's not a number thing. This is a whole paradigm blowing up. What's it going to look like moving forward? Are we going to be independent contractors and gig to death, or are we all going to? Because that's how
exactly.
Exactly. Say, for the layman, the IATSE is everybody from electricians and gaffers to the art directors to the prop people and the set dressers. It's so many. And yeah, I was just talking to Aaron Walke a couple of weeks ago about how the TAG, the animation people, had their contract last year. They made some gains, but they're, thanks to Uncle Walt, they're still behind. They want to be, why a half hour of animation is not the same as a half hour of crime. And your interest is in their interest, is what they want to. So yeah, everybody's got that because it's blowing up the way the industry works, and people create and get paid for it and have a same creative life to bring to it.
Exactly. And yes, like Aaron is a brilliant writer, and just because he's it's a different union that covers shows like like Prodigy. They should be they should not be treated as second class writers. Prodigy has some of the best writing I've seen in Star Trek.
Yeah.
So we stand in solidarity with 839 workers. Right now, 839 writers have our backs, and when they are up for negotiating next, we will have their backs too.
Mm-hmm.
And I should add, I am also I'm a dual member. I write for animation also. Being protecting the rights of 839 writers and artists is just as important to me as it is to protect to fight for the middle class in the WGA.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of shorted you at the beginning. You were at least season 1. You were a supervising producer.
Yes.
I don't know if you had a bump up that we'll see soon for season 2.
Season 2, I'm also a supervising producer.
Okay.
And
that
we were writing season 3. We all, we when we went on strike, everybody stopped writing. Obviously,
pencils down. Yeah,
pencils down. Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, in a practical way, because what's great is from top to bottom, all that, like the entry level, you keep talking about middle class writers. When you're a producer, that means you've had experience and you're able to climb that ladder, negotiate for something above the minimums. Because what we're talking about here are the minimums, what the entry level writers come into, and all this whole thing about the mini rooms. I mean, I started reading about that a couple of months ago. That whole thing about working on a pilot and then not getting paid for it or not getting hired onto the show you just developed is insane.
It's a way for studios and companies to hedge their bets because there's not production that they're chasing. They can dither around, and what winds up happening is they're getting free development from all these writers who then contractually are unable to go on to the shows if they ever do get made. And then then there's so much writing that needs to be done after the mini room is over because they're very fast and they require a lot of work. So then the showrunner then winds up doing 10 times the amount of work once the staff is released. So mini rooms really are bad news for everybody. For the writers that are writing it, and for the lower level writers that are supporting it, and for the showrunners who are running it. Mini rooms are bad news. It's a way that studios and companies have it's another one of the loopholes that we've found that they've used to hold down labor.
Wring more out of it. Congratulations, we bought your pilot. Bad news is you'll die doing it, and nobody will. Basically. Well, the thing that's got a lot of people's attention is kind of the shiny thing in the room here is the whole AI question. And it's really not like it's going to happen tomorrow, but this is the guild and the actors. Here's something everybody's involved on this too, is what's going to be how do we keep it in the box and not let somebody scum off everybody just because, and go do it sooner than it could be done. I mean, where is that on the spectrum of things? People love to talk about the AI, threat coming down the line, but this is more about just getting out ahead of it, right?
Well, it's critical. Right now, it's critical. ChatGPT is still fairly new, and already we're seeing, that it can be used to generate scripts, and they're not good, but they can use that as a way to. And by the way, what AI is doing is essentially plagiarism. It's using you can use the prompts to tell the AI to give you a script in the style of so-and-so writer. You could say, can I have a science fiction space opera in the style of Terry Matalas's Picard, and it'll give you something that mimics that style. That's plagiarism. And then and right now it's not very good. But what studios and companies could do is use that to generate drafts and then try to hire writers to rewrite it and make it good. But because the writer didn't originate it, that'll be a loophole that they'll use. So that's why it's so important to fight it now. It's growing fast. And the guild's stance on this, our stance on this is very simple. Writing has to be generated by a human being. That's it. And the studios and that is one of the proposals that the studios and the companies would not engage us on. They never once countered on it. The only thing they said is that they would not they don't want to put limits on a technology they might want to use. And they did offer this. They said, tell you what, you may have heard about this. We'll offer you a workshop to talk about future technology.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll have a meeting about it. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Thanks.
This is the one of your fellow writers, Philip Iskov. He's the one that had this post I caught this morning. The strike is costing the studios about $30 million a day in lost revenue. Meaning, in the 15 days the WGA has been on strike, they've already lost $450 million, which is about the same amount you're asking for 3 years. Yep. So the whole thing about pleading, I love how and I'm saying this, just reading the news, 1 week they're talking about their huge profits the last quarter or two, and then they started trying to plead poverty. I don't know what that's about. How do you think this is going to go on? Do you think people are even saying this is meant to be the first of like that Wall Street, that you just flat out old school union busting that they want to try to bust after all these years. And the fact that Hollywood, the entertainment industry, is still one of the best unionized shops, which is, I would say, why we lead the world and why the output is such quality, is because everybody has the security of a job. They're able to whether they're lighting a show or they're writing a show, they're able to do their best work. And that's why the United States leads the world in its entertainment output. And this is another take on that industry, the way other industries have been hollowed out. And I don't know. That seems to be an emerging thing. Do you think that's catching on? Do you think that's what's going on here? It sounds all these new players in the game. Yeah.
I'll say a lot of the companies, we're not dealing with as many creative executives as we used to. A lot of the executives are beholden to Wall Street, and they're more concerned with growth than they are with profit and revenues. The tech companies are historically not union friendly. All that said, LA is a union town. Hollywood is a union industry. We are a very strong union, and I think they didn't expect us to stand up for the value that we create, to stand up for our worth. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're all doing out here. That's what all these writers are doing out here, is we are standing up for the value that we create. And we will stay out here standing up for the value that we create until they come back to the table and make a fair deal with us. And we'll do that for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
I hope it's not long. I want everybody to get back to work. There's a lot of people that are affected by this. And I don't want any of those people to be hurting. But we have to fight this fight right now, because the people in all of the workers, as I said, in the other unions and guilds are going to get hit just as hard if we don't fight this fight right now.
Well, I think the directors, the DGA is sitting down to start, and I think the actors are next month on their negotiations, and everybody's, everybody's watching you all and backing you all, but everybody's going to have to face this on their own. And I mean, the writers in the past have been the canary in the coal mine for everybody. It's like in real life. You guys are the first, the first in the dominoes to hopefully keep standing. So anyway, is anybody, just by any chance, anybody else related to Star Trek in their past or present there around you, or have you seen anybody today?
I did. I saw it today. I saw Lisa Klink was in our line today.
Yes.
And from Voyager, and we had a great chat. I've seen multiple Trek writers in our line over these last few weeks. Because we're all fighting.
A lot of them are, a lot of them are socializing, and letting the message get out there and all. Okay, well, I feel like I should let you. I was scanning here. I wasn't going to really look at our chat, but I would say that people have I have a fond memory. Of course, it was a lot of work, and it came after we were about 2 months in that year. But the Trek Day strike got a lot of attention. There were other themes. That was part of the social media revolution in 07 was
Right.
there was a fantasy and horror theme day. There was I think Ron Moore had a Galactica writers theme picket at Universal, but the Star Trek one out in front of Paramount was a real, and a lot of actors came by, and it was a memorable day. But that was like a month and a half in. That was that one went 3 months.
Right. Yeah, that was 100 days that action, and every time writers gather. I mean, in a weird way, just being on the line, it's like a this is your life for every single writer. Like every day you bump into people that you've worked with from years and years ago. But it's
people that inspired you.
Yes, or exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've met lots of people who I never thought I would get the chance to meet, and that's wonderful. That solidarity. I will say it's I don't want to diminish the importance of what we're doing out here. We are going to stand strong together, and that heartens me. And because we're writers, we'll be clever, and we will have fun doing it. But it's very we don't do this lightly. This is something that affects a lot of people and a lot of lives, and it affects the future of our industry. So all of that is to bring is to really bring to attention the message that we're fighting for a fair deal. A fair deal. That's
the world. There's been a shift in the world in the way we consume, and all the business models, the payment, the employment models need to shift to adjust for that. And well, very good. Listen, I need to let you go. What do you have? I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's your sign say today, or are you generically picketing today?
No, I stepped over here without my sign, but it says very simply. It's not a very clever one. It just says in as big letters as I possibly could write, "Fair deal now."
FDN. Bill, well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm not even going to try to look at questions here. We can talk about it after you're off because you got to get back to the line.
Thank you,
the bottom line, I mean, we're celebrating you and all the writers, and through our Trek prism. A lot of people have a lot of favorite shows. A lot of people enjoy the night talk shows and Saturday Night Live and all of that down the line. But I'm hoping most of the public is with you and they get it. And when they see the solidarity of all the guilds, and they realize that whatever short-term pain they're putting up with is worth it, because this is a big picture strike, I'm going to say. And it's going to determine things for the years to come. So, but I think most of us are all with you and behind you, and look forward to more, whatever it takes to get this done, and thinking of all the ripple effect people who are not working right now, but they're sacrificing too, and hopefully for a good outcome.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for covering this today.
Well, sure thing. Thanks for being part of my 6th anniversary show. But I wanted to do something. I went out last week and saw Carlos, Cisco, and some of them over at Disney. There were some Trek people over there that I hadn't met yet, which was, again, a weird silver lining to all this. But what you said, this isn't about, I mean, you could do all this at a screening or at a convention, the reunions. Right. This is about what you're up to right now. And hang in there. So WGA strong. And I look forward to the time, as we said, we can sit down and have a Star Trek talk.
I look forward to that too, and I appreciate you covering this very important thing today. Appreciate it a lot, Larry.
Sure thing. And it's paid for already, so we are looking forward to Strange New Worlds debut here in about a month. So hopefully, it'd be wonderful to have all this over and done with by then. But whatever else, we'll enjoy that, and think of you guys trying to keep season 3 just as up there. Okay,
Thank
Bill.
you, Larry.
Thanks for taking the time today. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty, kids. Well, there's a first. How about that? I meant to tease him about he needed to step away from his green screen a little bit. There you go. Bill Wilkoff, supervising producer from Strange New Worlds. We're about to see his product off the assembly line, like applesauce. No, that's what that's all about. Here in another month. So there's you a kickoff for Strange New Worlds. Has anybody else in Trek punditry brought you a live report from the picket lines? A live report? I don't think so. But there you go. And maybe you've got a little more illumination there. Again, I say I'm, a lot of the folks that you probably should have been following anyway, a lot of the writers present and past, Ted Sullivan, Carter Hall on his Instagram is putting out a lot. I mentioned Carlos Cisco and Eric Robbins, the two guys that I met going over to Disney a couple of weeks ago, did a video with them that we posted. I did a live with them, but it wasn't part of, scheduled. So split screen there from the day. It was pretty hot the last couple of days. They got a little bit of relief today. Anyway, there you go. I'm going to tell you what, we've been at it here. Let's keep shaking this up. I'm going to see what your chat has been about since Bill came on. A live wire, Matt, are the $10 contributors. I just came up with goofy names. So the primary TTL clubbers are the $5 a month people. The live wires are the $10 a month people. All righty. Let me backtrack just a little bit though before we go on. I see where we were about the time Bill came in. Wade, thank you for joining us today. Anne Marie, thank you too. Mazel tov, Madeir. I wish rum and diets for all. This is a crazy week. I've got stuff to do. Thank you, Tanner and May and Matt and Jason. This is all before Bill came in. Let's see. Livewire used to be. Talking about the pilot is fine, but what was your topic for the second episode? Actually, I showed that clip. I would have to go back and dig it out, but I actually showed the open, so I could show you the contrast. I think I had kind of this has evolved, like anybody's show has evolved. It took a while to come up with some of these, these awesome catchphrases. Didn't just happen overnight. Let's see. Kyle, I have this ability, everybody. Thank you, Kyle. Congratulations on 6 years. TTL now has super chats. Well, we have supper chats too, but like I said, I left the rum and cokes. Didn't bring Anne Marie and my rum and coke in. If you mean super chats, yes, folks can do. This is part of the growth. Thank you for the Patreons. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Kyle and Scott, Scott can't be with us today, but Kyle's there. Thank you, Kyle. Some of the growth we've had online with YouTube and on video has been your credit. Thank you. And now we can do super chats. If you're not familiar with that, you could actually tip me during a live show over YouTube, on YouTube. What is this? You feel like a Girl Scout with all these Trekland live chat badges. There you go. There you go. What is the most reliable source to calculate or come up with star dates? Well, it was random in the original series days into the movies, but with Next Generation, every year was 1,000 units. They just went 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. Do you know how the star date systems? We've got memos. Sometimes we get into this on Trek Files, your Roddenberry podcast. They just came up, they wanted to go from 4 digits to 5 to show that it was a different time period than the original series, which was 4-digit star dates to the decimal. So Next Generation started with, which got them in trouble by the 6th and 7th season because they wanted to do historical star dates and realized at some point in the 2230s or 40s, 2230s, somehow the 4 digits became, you got back to 00000. And like, well, what was before that? And why did they start that year? And what was the, but they started as a production aspect in first season Next Gen to go, first they wanted a 5-digit number, and then they went with 4 for the 24th century, so the 2300s. And then first season was 4-1, And then the other 3 numbers were just progressively through the season. So by assigning a new digit to every season from 41 to 42 to 43, basically that made a calendar Gregorian year on Earth 1,000 days. So you could go from 41000 to 41999.99, and that was the end of your finale. And then the first script of the next year would be 4200. I mean, if you wanted to, they wouldn't go to zeros and 999s usually. But that's what, eventually, after a few years, somebody said, oh, so an Earth year is now 1,000 stardate units. Oh, and that kept up all the way through the 18 years of the Berman. Well, not Enterprise. Enterprise went back to Gregorian dates because they were so close to Earth that they weren't skewed. Anyway, so who knows? They've tried to experiment with different things in the Kelvin movies, and they've just kind of gotten away from star dates altogether at some point until this season of Picard. And that's why we were dating. We got back to keeping up 1,000 unit years to keep up with the original years and date that. And occasionally they've popped up in Lower Decks because we know those years very specifically, and they'll talk about them as organic Earth years, but very rarely reflected in star dates. Am I answering your question, Duralta? This is starting to feel like an ADT or something. So, I mean, you can look at what, say, Memory Alpha is reporting, what the different star dates have been used in different shows, and some of them are just a train wreck in the newer shows. But some of that is somebody eventually has to figure out what the 4 digits meant, if anything, and then why the switch from 4 to 5, and who was the brilliant person that started the 4 digit that didn't realize that was going to happen eventually. Because I'd like to think they're smarter than us being just TV writers. No offense to Bill. Let's see. Well, that was an option, Cairo. I'm going to get back to the poll and tell you what came in, because some of you might be surprised. We're going to make some news with this. Like Rachel Maddow would say, I think we're making news with this report right now. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. Although, Mona, I would think whatever the first show was, unless it was a bomb, was the show that brought back Star Trek. The Next Generation was the show that brought back Star Trek. Anyway, again, thanks everybody for all your anniversary wishes. Yeah, it's rather don't make me choose, not don't make me think. This is exactly what my wife says. Don't make me think. Mario, you bopped in today for our 6th birthday. Thank you, sir. A lot of you that shopped when Roddenberry had a retail booth over the years at Vegas or San Diego or wherever, Mario was running the booth there. Thank you, May. I'm looking forward to that. I love Walter, and he did a really good on Dom and Connor's shuttle pod show. He just had a great. I watched it. Normally I don't try to do that, but I wanted to see. He had a great time. He was in fine fettle that day. Oh, this is awesome! Congratulations, Cairo, and it's going to be a real business. Yay! Not a wannabe. I haven't got to see it yet. Trek culture, they're leaning into them. Thank you, Anne-Marie. TheCiscoDay.com. Everybody go check it out for Monday. I'm going to have a panel. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet. We're finalizing that this week, but you want to make sure and make it. A Captain Sisko Day. It's about time. Right. Yes, we were live from the strike. And this is, just to reiterate, Captain Sisko Day is Monday, 5/22. That's next Monday. So lots of stuff happening. There is a screening in town of the motion picture 4K in about 3 hours here in Hollywood. Tomorrow, I have the Europeans. It's European and midday Americans for Portal 47, our roundtable, if you're a member of Portal 47. What else is going on this week? Saturday, I have Walter in the morning. Well, Sunday is a big day for me at Will Rogers. If you're in LA, come out to Will Rogers on Sunday. Monday is the Cisco day. It's like suddenly the world has blown up. And there's other things afoot that I'm not at liberty to talk about this week. In fact, I'm not going to say anything. Okay, so yes, how to follow. There you go, Flying Lobster. That's his name. Yes, is I don't know. We'll have to ask. Somebody should have. I'm sure 47 million people have asked Ciroc this over the years, Wade. But you can be 47 million in 01. Yep. And today is Classic Movie Day, another day to indirectly thank your writers when they were also treated as sardines in a can at times. Yay. I would have shown him all of these, but he wouldn't have seen them. I don't know. Walking the Picket Line. Yeah, that's, well, couldn't you tell? It was from deepest, darkest Hollywood, Mona. Yes, good to see. I'm going to get this in on the record, everybody, in your comments, because I'm sure he'll catch this later. Kapla and Solidarity. Maybe I didn't catch it. There you go. Yes. Thank you, Louise. And Andrew, good to see you. Hey, Andrew, you made it to a doozy of a day. That was good. Well, the screwy loopholes that tend to be found are the things no one, when there's a technological revolution, something new hits something is in the air. There's a new paradigm. There's a new model that no one could conceive of. And so somebody's going to plunge into that hole. It's like for years, who knew all the years that movies were movies. You went to see them and maybe you saw it later on at a screening or a festival. TV was live. You saw it once. Who wants to see the same show again? Or that was the thinking. Lucy and Desi, yes, come up with the idea of reruns. Talk about geniuses, probably more Desi on this one. Let's film our shows. And they even had a way to have it in the slot. They filmed it in California. What was it? Anyway, they showed it. They reran the film again, a different time, whatever. But they owned film. And then suddenly the first time there was a strike and CBS didn't have live shows, a couple of years later came back to, do you think we could show your films and plug the time? It's been 3 years. Many people might be hazy. I mean, the idea that anybody would want to watch a show again was crazy because that's what live shows had been. Movies were there. You could go back and see a movie again if you really, really loved it. But most of the time people were just consuming. So the whole idea of reruns and residuals, not only was that a Lucy and Desi thing, but that was a thing that didn't exist. So the writers' contracts and actors and directors and everybody above the line, anybody who was above the line, normally in your opening credits, they had to go, oh, wait, you can't just show these forever. We should get paid on a diminishing scale, but we should still get paid for that just because we did it once. So then you got original run and maybe 2 reruns. So, summer reruns, okay. Maybe some other time they might have plugged it again for down the road. And then what happens? Bang, videotape. People have personal media, and all of a sudden the 2 reruns clause, it was kind of pointless. So wait a minute, we need to get paid for every time you sell this again. Anytime you make money, everybody who contributed to that work needs to get something, even if it's just pennies. And then if you're selling 1 million of them, we'll take that. So nothing ever replaced the original work. But to know that people are making tons of coin off reruns, off physical media, off merchandising, putting your face in, and those tend to be things that are individually negotiated, but still the basic things that are paradigm. And now it's streaming. In the 07 strike, it was about new media. It was, what's the internet going to be like? Are you going to put my show on the internet? Now we're not selling individual anythings. We're not selling tapes and DVDs. How do you charge for that? So every time there's been a tech shift in delivery mainly, then that's been a cause for them to step up. So that's going on now, much less the fact, as Bill was saying, the idea that a lot of the studios aren't old school entertainment people. They're Wall Street financial guys coming in the way they do in many industries. They don't care about the history, the heritage, the family feeling, or the core product of the industry. They just are thinking, they're not even thinking about profit and loss. The fact that this show X, the XYZ show, made tons of money this year, and a little bit more tons of money. The fact that, well, what was the growth rate? Oh, look, it only went up 1%. Well, you were making 5 billion. Now you're making 5.005 million trillion. So it went up. There's still tons of money, but what was the growth? And that's a thing that's hung up, not just entertainment, but a lot of industry. And that's what people are rebelling about. There's plenty of money here, but things are being hatcheted and treated as if, yeah. So the whole thing about the throw money on the wall to see what sticks era of streaming itself, then so much peak TV and how many hundreds of hours of TV you couldn't even watch. People are going to be watching things for the first time for years. And now this retrenchment, the whole end discovery after 5 years, not 6, maybe. And even more, as Bill was saying, the most egregious, Paramount Plus is not the most egregious. They're following industry trends. They're protecting their franchises. They're protecting Star Trek and now the Taylor Sheridan. But if you're just an entry-level writer trying to climb the ladder and make a career out of this, and you're talented and you're selling your show, how are you getting treated? How are you being forced to treat other writers? What's different now? Are you a mid-level writer, and instead of having one show you worked on all year for 9 months, and then you had 3 months to either vacation or work on a side project, now you're scrambling around because you're working 8 shows here and 10 shows here, and you're writing one of them, and there's no staff jobs, and you're getting paid as a one-off, and all of a sudden the old models, they're not only not adequate, they're meaningless, because how much of TV is still on the networks? Of course, a lot of people do, but it's what, 20% of what people watch now? Yeah. So anyway, good to have, that's the kind of loophole that no one knew about until it happened. And of course, your accountants and bean counters are going to find out the best way to exploit that. That's called making money. That's called returning to your stockholders. Okay, that's a radical new era. Well, this is the time when we say, everybody take a breath. We see how this is evolving now. We see the direction it's gone. Now it's time to adjust. And they're getting pushback on. Well, Wade, basically, this isn't a thing. Fans have gone out and picketed. It's not just the WGA writers, and it's not just the sympathy in solidarity, from actors, directors, crew, teamsters. Yeah. Duralta, I didn't see this in time to give it to Bill, but this was going to be more than a 10-minute report from the live picket line. But again, this is what Portal 47 is for, Duralta. Hearing everybody's individual saga and looking at how the industry works, as well as all your favorite Star Trek inside behind the scenes. Yes, Bill is a hero. But Anne-Marie, everybody on that picket line is a hero. And everybody who comes over from all the guilds, the way he was talking about, the second day they were on strike on the Wednesday night, they had a big member meeting, and they had representatives from, it didn't get much news coverage. I saw people posting about it on socials, but all the other major guild leadership was there to say, we're with you, because they all get it. This is not about percentages on payments. This is about, will there even be payments? So this is a very transcendental, which is why they had to go to strike. It's a pivotal time. They don't, a lot of times they will have issues, and they'll have negotiations, and they'll do a new contract and vote on it, and it's no big deal. Like I said, it's when there is a shift, as in 07, 08 with the internet. Mona, I think this is what everybody feels. I've seen a lot of people quitting their Netflix and quitting their streaming services to protest and whatever. This is true. Hey, Heather, Good to see you, my dear. You can send them snacks and drinks. Look for Claire Willett on Twitty. There are, I think this is one. I think I've seen other ones. If you see the video I did with the guys, and I should say, Sandy Taylor, 2 weeks ago, we have there's a fund, a community fund, to help not just writers, but like the support staff, the people like Janet were and Lolita were back in the day, who weren't writers, but they work with the writers and they're out of a job. And the support staff for the whole productions that are down, who aren't, they, back in the day, Lolita and Janet and all of them had a Paramount office workers union. And some of the studio's office workers are unionized, but some of them are permanent office staff and some are just there for a show. As long as producer X is there, his assistant Y is working. And then when they're not in their show, they're gone. So that's it. That's that. Yeah. So yeah, people, wherever you are, and they're striking in New York. There are a few pickets. I've heard stories about 2 picketers in Atlanta being able to get a Teamster not to cross the line and make deliveries. Just a couple of people picketing. So every bit helps. There you go. And here, yes, that's true, Mona. And thinking of the long hours, but you think of all the people that are doing that. The entertainment industry was notorious. One thing may be good about the 26 episode season, and maybe doing even 10 and 10 or 10 and 8. A lot of families went through the ringer, especially I'm thinking of the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And you were either, it's kind of like being in the military. You were a military family or you weren't. And there's all kinds of special stresses that come from that. And a lot of these, it wasn't just, the high profile star divorces. A lot of families, that's tough when the dad or the mom is sitting there working 10 or 12 hours a day for 9 months of the year, and they're exhausted on the weekend. They maybe get one day to recharge, and they see, you hear the folks I would interview from the Berman era all the time. I see, Star Trek family. I see this family more than I see my own family for those years. And some people, that's why a lot of them, wherever they were working, and, and not every, there were moments, but not every set is as happy as a Star Trek set. And I'm not saying that Star Trek was always a Pollyanna, but there are lots of places that are not as happy to work as a Star Trek, or places where you feel like your product is going to be loved and appreciated a year from now, much less 30 years from now or 50 years from now. Yay. So they'll appreciate everybody's comments here. Yes. And it is historic. Awesome to say that, Anne-Marie. They love hearing this kind of thing. Yeah. Well, you would expect that on a Star Trek. What are you saying, Cairo? We should stand with them on social media, but still rewatch the streaming series, as then the studios can argue that they don't make the money to pay those new. See, this is the game, right? Yeah. Oh, see, Andrew, you get it. Yeah. You worked local TV production for 20 years and was like at a local station and not part of a union. Yeah. That's insane. We said it at the same time. Well, at least right now, Cairo, AI are not the big problem. They don't write interesting stories on their own, but they should and will be interesting tools for writers, but not replacing them. And sure, yeah. I mean, same way you said, well, I have this calculator now. I don't have to. Remember when you watched Hidden Figures? Computer used to be the term for the human person who did math. Kind of made them faceless. So whether they were black or white, and if you watch Hidden Figures, if you haven't seen it, it's a wonderful piece of history on so many levels, for people of color, for women, for just the way grit and determination to get things done. But a lot of the NASA early offices and other places that needed hard crunching. What did you do before you had computers to do hardcore trig and down the line? Quantum mathematic people. And all the time they tended to be women So if you told somebody, you talked about computers in the 40s, you were talking about the armies of mainly human women that did the advanced math and checked their figures and yada yada. Right. So we now have mechanical computers that replaced all those people, but they should, have something else to go to. But we're not there yet. The guild is trying to get on top of it. And of course, the actors are terrified. And there are a lot of actors who are already being made. They're not the big ones, the clout ones, but the ones middle ground. They're being made, like if they're in a franchise, they're being made to sign contracts where they sign over their image. They have no rights to their own image. So what, as now or in the future, is AI, they can take your image and animate it. You're seeing it. You're seeing it on the free app ads that pop up constantly on your socials, where we have the singing presidents, and all of that. Lincoln and Washington and Teddy Roosevelt, whatever, or your own family pictures where people are smiling. Look at so think what they're doing now. The tech is wonderful. The point is, are you robbing people of their own private identity security? And of course, the actors are terrified on that. The fact is, they're being the mid-level actors and lower-level actors entry without clout are being made to sign that away because they don't have the clout to not negotiate that. Yes, tools now, but they're trying to get out ahead of it. And this is true, Duralta, AI to the writing world in general. Yeah. And from the other side of things, don't see students submitting essays and papers and things. Right. See, this is it. This is, as a tool, it's like having a written dictionary instead of trying to remember things by memory, or an encyclopedia as a tool to improve journalism, as it's a tool not being abused. Right. There we go. This is a thing, Linda. You're on those picket lines, especially here in LA, Hollywood, and Burbank. If you listen to that video when I was at Disney in Burbank, the cars are honking all the time. Yeah. Yes. And yes, Lisa, go over and give her some love on her socials. Right. This is a good point. It's not about the people using the tools. It's who's above them and what are they going to do with it. Yes. I mean, yeah, there was a time when teachers, when I was in high school, calculators were just coming in and we were not allowed to use a calculator in a math class. If it's a tool calculator to get to a higher level, then it's like using a ruler or something in shop or whatever. But yeah. And this is a point he was making over and over again, and I'll be happy to back up. Yes. And this is true. Anybody doesn't go along with it, as long as the change is not abused because it's new and scary and catches people off guard. That's it. Right. So everybody waving at Bill. Yay, Duralta and Mona. This is it, and I think this is the writing. I mean, it's posted online. I've got the URL. You can look up the writer's contract demands, and you can see the producer's response. You're very welcome, Carl. A live report. Thank you, Kyle, and thank you for helping me make it happen. Absolutely, Donnie. I'm going to put this in just so we've got it on the video. Yeah. You first learned about some of the conditions when Ira was on Shuttlepod. That was eye-opening. I know. This whole thing about the mini rooms and working and not getting paid, or On the other token, the showrunner who's had to write everything himself or herself without outside help, it's insane. Always a good, yes. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, Cairo. But then, of course, some people or political parties have nothing without their fear. Fear mongering. It's a word. It's exclaimed. It's super chat. Yes, I think so too, Kyle. Super chats are good. Yeah. I'm into the chat here, and I promised you a few things. Awesome, Wanda, and hello and welcome. You wrote to your streaming services to let them know you stand with the writers creative. And I agree, Louise, that is awesome. An Earth year being 1,000 star dates is too much math for your head. No, it's pretty easy. Just think. Every time the season changed, they were celebrating the holidays. It was really sad how there was always a major crisis. The Borg invade right in the middle of the holidays. Klingon Civil War right in the middle of the holidays. It sure was distracting. Okay. I will check this out, Mike, and thank you for being here too. I agree, Louise. Yay for Cisco Day. The Cisco Day is necessary. Okay, Mona. Well, do what you can. I am too, Andrew. I am too. It's been a long time since I got to sit down with Walter. Steve. Hey, I got this was pretty cool. So I'm gonna take this. I don't know if I don't know if OU or KU is quite up to anything like that. Since I took exactly one class at OU, one graduate class. Did I even finish it? I think it was too much to do with work. My view of college life, even graduate school, rapidly changed when I was working a full-time job and learning it for the first time. So that's a big fat nada, Uncle Steve. Toyota. Hello, Toyota Tacoma. Maybe not your first time with us. What do I assume is going on surrounding the French-Canadian Strange New World teasers? I don't know. Please proceed, Governor. Enlighten us. I'm not up on that yet. And hello and thank you, Sean. Happy Harriman Day. Don't worry. Yeah, Bill will see the chat here. But I've got him on video here too also. John Harriman Day. Is John Harriman Day today? No. It's next Tuesday. Okay. Very good. Very good. Yes. Oh, come on. Come on, Duralta. Read the room. This is, see that word there, Trek? See the Trek things? Okay. You haven't experienced Trek till you've heard it in the original German. Yeah. The Raumschiff Enterprise. Well, that's why you've got human computers, but now you've got everything digital. Yeah. We just apply the new digital. I mean, you're talking about residuals on streaming. Well, why do we talk every week here about how they don't make the ratings public? Come on, they know internally. They know internally how many eyeballs have clicked on their own app. That's another case where the lack of transparency keeps people out of the dark. Oh yeah, knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. Wall Street. Thank you, analysis. Wall Street executives are always the problem. See, that's what we, yes. The Academy show could start. Christoph, you're just too much. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Christoph. I could do with a million more of you is all I'm saying. Can we clone you? Can I AI you, Christoph? I know that's a big leap from cloning to AI, but you get it. Well, a lot of the writers wouldn't want this as a 24/7 job. They'd go bonkers dealing with the hypocrisy and the greed and the need. Oh, analysis. Well, railroad is a greatly diminished. At the time the union started, they fought and died in the late 1800s. The Pullman strike. I mean, I'm just thinking that was a good old, steel workers, coal miners. That's a Miles O'Brien Union man strike era. But the railroads are such a diminished. They were the dominant growing edge technology in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and they're not now. So, yeah, they don't have the clout and the power that they did there. And railroads are merged and all that, which is sad in the States anyway, because they're still a vital cog in the wheel that's been okay, because I've got other things to do. The strange decks. Yeah. Or Lower New Worlds. What are you saying here, Sean? Star Trek in particular isn't like other shows. I mean, how many shows from the 60s are still making money on reruns? I can think of 4 or 5. Exactly. You know what? Well, what do you think happened in the pandemic here, Duralta, to write from home? But that's also that people always think about the employees abusing the boss and the company. It can go the other way too in people's homework. When you're disassociated from networking with people, that's why, as Bill was saying, when you see the writers gathering and having little reunions and getting to talk to their inspirations, their mentors, it feels like a big party, but it's not. That's the silver lining of a very serious business. It's their survival of not just right now, but the future generations to come, and all of their colleagues in all the other fields. So they got by with pandemic writing, and well, I've got to share some stuff coming up. Aaron Walke was a perfect example. Season 1 of Prodigy was done with a regular writer's room and Nickelodeon in Burbank. Season 2, which we're waiting to see, but it was written. In fact, the writers are pretty much done a year ago on season 2. When we talked to them at Mission Chicago a year ago, they were finishing the finale of the writing anyway. Had the year to produce it, but that was all done in pandemic. So that's, interesting to compare. And people will be doing all kinds of industrial entertainment, psychological, sociological studies of this industry and everything else, like what was different before and after and coming out of it. Will they call the AI human barrier the silicon ceiling? Yes, Glenn, I believe they will, thanks to you. Okay. You know what? I'm looking for a break here. Thank you. Glenn, why don't we take a break here and let's do this. Number one, I've done a printout of the poll. So I gave you all so this was number one. If you want to join in on this next time around, sometimes they're more fun. Sometimes there were some groundbreaking things, and I just like taking the polls. I don't get a huge feedback out of my, 2,000 people on my list. I'd love to have even more, but we have 5% here or so. Here's the deal. I broke those down. Again, I said, what is your favorite period of modern live action Trek? Not series, because I feel like series have gone through evolutions. But what is your favorite era of modern, post 2017, live action Star Trek? So I broke it down. I split Discovery as season 1, 2, 23rd century Star Trek, Discovery, and then 32nd Century. Let's flip the digits. 3 and 4. And then Picard 1 and 2, even though I know people will argue that there's a huge difference between 1 and 2, but I'm just going to say 1 and 2 together, and then season 3 for Picard, and then Strange New, obviously, for its one, and then some other ones. I like them, but I don't have a favorite. Oh, I love them all. Don't make me pick. That's an enthusiasm scale there. And then I'd rather pick one of the animateds, which was interesting. If you feel fervently that way, I wanted to let you know. And then of course I've never watched post 2017 Star Trek. I just kept it neutral that way. Here's what this poll came up. This was out Friday. People had till today at noon to vote. Got no votes. People who said was not their favorite. Yeah. Discovery season 3 and 4, surprisingly, and Picard season 1 and 2. People said not their favorite. Again, we're not saying what do you hate. It's just what is your favorite era, with fudge factor options also. No one voted for Discovery season 3, 4. No one voted for 0% for Picard season 1, 2. Now, I had a 3.2% return for I watch, but I don't have a favorite. Okay, armchair consumer fan. We had a 4.8% return for Discovery season 1 and 2. More enjoying the first 2 seasons of Discovery than the latter 2. That's interesting. I've come across those people. I've enjoyed the show more the more it's gone on. But there you go. I need a rewatch, though. I will admit that. I've been looking forward to doing a rewatch at some point. Then we have a tie, 6.5%. A tie also up on the ladder. Never watched post 7 Discovery and onward. Never watched it. Okay, that's tied also with I'd rather pick one of the animateds. So I think we are up to the point where I can say yes. Oh, and then we jump up a little. 12.9%, almost 13% said, I can't choose among them, which to me is like more enthusiastic about the whole thing than, I just watch. I don't have a favorite. Basically, that gives us about a third of the pie. This leaves 2 choices. You're going to be amazed. By 1 vote apiece, so there's a fraction of a point off, but basically 33.9%, 32.3% said Strange New Worlds first season. By 1 more vote, so a fraction of a point, 33.9 said Picard season 3. So basically, we've got a pie of everybody answering in this poll. A third said variously one of the other seasons I don't watch. I'd rather vote for an animated, or even no votes at all for early Picard and early Discovery. I'm sorry, later Discovery. A third of the pie said Strange New Worlds season 1. A third of the pie said Picard season 3, which is not outlandish, but it does show, again, when the dust settles, because I wondered, people were so in love with Strange New Worlds last year. I wondered where that lay in the wake of the massive love affair with Picard, or it's seemingly so on socials. And yeah, people are in my newsletter. They're reading email. They're probably digital to some degree, but not everybody in fandom, much less in the world, is living on their socials, living and dying on their social channels, which is what I always try to caution folks. Online fandom is not the same as even convention fandom, which is not even the same as everybody getting up and going, doing their job and coming down and enjoying some Star Trek with their kids or not. That's armchair fandom. That's mass fandom. Not the same as totally convention. And those are cutting edge. Those are people on the edge, but they're different edges. And there's a vast majority, the great normal majority, as Will Rogers would say, of Star Trek fandom who aren't paying attention to all the drama of the day. So that's why it was interesting to me to see right now, a third of the fandom say their favorite era was Picard season 3, a third said Strange New Worlds, and a third variously and other reporting eras and attitudes for the other. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, I took a, let's do this. So happy 6th anniversary. Here's a fun little give back. Yeah, I mean, when I'm at this position, what can we do here? So I appreciate everybody who is liking and subscribing the channel and sharing it and setting your alerts, setting the channel on YouTube, because that's what the world is looking at. And again, I started from behind. I'm going to get back to the chat, but let's go ahead and do this. So if you, the rules were, and I announced them on Friday, if you left a comment on any video on my channel and you were subscribed, either already or you went to subscribe now. So we got, units of new subscribers. Anyway, I have a, I wish I could show you sometime. Oh, I need to get a mirror. One of these days I'm going to get a mirror so I can mirror things back. And I could do it here. It's not like a Zoom where I could instantly share screen. It's kind of a hassle to share screen. But I've got everybody who qualified, and there weren't that many, but I've got everybody who qualified in here. I think there's 10. So this is going to be a winner from among you 10 that listened to directions. Okay. So here we go. This is for that. And if I don't, obviously, if I don't have your mailing address, I will need that. I'm paying for the postage. So here we go. And our winner is JZ. JZ, are you watching? JZ left a comment. I don't know who JZ is, but this is yours. I will tell everybody right now, if I cannot get in touch with JZ, are you here, JZ? Is that a YouTube euphemism app handle for anybody else? Anybody else that's on with us today? JZ is the winner. I'll tell you this, gang. I'll do it off camera, but if I can't make contact with JZ, I don't want to do it right now because I didn't say must be present to win. So maybe I'll do that next time. But which, that cuts out the people who can't be with us live, who want to be supportive. So I will off camera. I will keep the random picker here that I have. I'll keep this set up, and if I cannot make contact with JZ, one of you others may get a. I'll post the winner when we do it. You'll see it on my socials, and I'll mention it next week. But if I can't get in touch with JZ, then I will spin again, and we'll see who might wind up with it in the fact. But I will announce who the winner was, just for my own version of transparency. All right. All right. Let's get back to the chat. I'm not going to do the parrots this week and the ratings, and we're in between times. You can live with it. They're behind. I can go to some of the other sources and look. There was news in the last week that the Nielsen's, and I want to get into this some more, see exactly what the Nielsen's are calling what the loopholes and the gray areas are, the dropout areas are in their coverage to say they're rating streaming shows, because there are some. But still, it's a huge thing for Picard to come back around in the top 10 again, even after the heat of dropping the finale has been gone for 2 or 3 weeks. So that made another splash again, which, Terry was all too gleeful to tweet out again. Let me find back where I was. Thank you. I think Glenn did the time check there. Oh, this was interesting, Danny, going back to AI. Yes. What are you doing, Steve? Yes. Star Trek. A parody back in college that's on videotape, which I still have. We've tried to clean it up a little bit because the videotape was starting to degrade a little bit. Yes. Well, Jim, you haven't given him a line in 15 minutes. You know what he does when he gets lonely? Why I thought of that one, I don't know. Yeah, we're attacked by Godzilla, and in the end, go visit Fred's planet. Exactly. Well, this is one way of looking at it. Someday we're going to have someday we'll do an AI topic here, and I'll get some smart people on as a guest, actually. Well, this is a good point, Sean. If history has taught us anything, it's that technology has never made people obsolete. It only changed what we do. We got rid of all the secretaries and typing pools, but now we have SEOs and social media peeps. Well, there is that. The point is the pain point in those transitions. When the world was going to go global as transportation and technology and communication got quicker and faster, the pain was in going global, and we're still shaking that out. People talk about globalists. It's like, well, that's where we're going. Hello, Star Trek future. The point is, how do we get there? How do we ease the pain, the shock, the transition? Who's making money on it, and what's being distributed fairly on that shock? Oh, look at this. Well, thank you, Fathery. My gosh, 6 years and 47 cents. That's apt. Thank you, man. I'm glad to do it. Have you been with it the whole time? Because I don't know how many were actually with us like the first few months. Because it was Facebook only. Oh boy, for what, 3 years? On my crappy little, I mean, literally, the phone that I wave around at Bill. Not this phone, but yeah, just having this on a stand in front of me, figuring out the first couple of shows, I couldn't figure out how to flip I didn't think you could flip the camera. So we even finally got that. But on the years of being on travel, the years I've tried to do Tuesdays lives. I want to say both times with Dr. Dave on a Trekland. Dr. Dave was doing a Trekland tour on it, where I do the day tours with folks. We had worked out his itinerary. We said wherever we are, I said wherever I am at 1:30, we'll stop, and I'll do Trekland, an abbreviated one, but we'll do it. And we were out at the Q Continuum. It was summer. We were out in the Q Continuum gas station out in the desert, and we went inside because it was open, and it was so hot with no breeze inside. We kept trying. It was so hot that my phone overheated and wouldn't connect to the internet. It was sparse internet anyway. I'll never forget that. There's like somewhere, maybe I deleted it, but there was like a bleep of me coming on, and we're all like just sweating. And I said, let's get back into town, into internet, and somewhere where there's a breeze anyway. And we did. I did a Trekland Tuesday from Risa, I think. And of course I did one when we had no internet, or it was intolerable here in the studio at home. I went across the street to a park and did one. I think right before Scott and Kyle took over doing the animated re-edits and our nicer things. Anyway, thank you so much. And thank you again, Fathery. Everybody, Tex Trekkie, are you watching his podcast too? Take advantage. Glad to keep your Tuesdays interesting for AI writing robs people of their writing voice. Well, there's that. Okay. Good discussion here going on about AI. Yeah. As Bill said, write me an episode in the style of Terry Metalis. Right. When the silicon-based Horta creates androids, are those carbon-based? Yes. Yeah. There you go, Linda. You remember using a calculator for the first time in a statistics class. Right. When it wasn't a cheat, it was just a tool, right? Like you could use a slide rule for all those years if you were in trig and whatever. Yes, one of the demands is you can't even train AI programs with real life stories. Exactly. That's one of the demands. Again, which was a no answer basically. We'll just talk about it every year. Right. So the cat's out of the bag before you can, the toothpaste is out of the tube before you can cram it back in. That's what they don't want. Jay-Z, you are here. Yay. Okay, you did make it. So I hope you saw you won. Yay, yay, yay. And Chuck, hey. Hi. Hi back. Oh. Okay, Mona. May 22nd, the Cisco Day is also a fundraising dinner day for Starbase Indy. You mean locally? Or there's some online global component to it? I mean, feel free to let us know. Hey, Toyota. You used to be large unidentifiable reptile, and since you've changed your name. Basically, the French-Canadian Crave channel posted the first footage of the lower decks during a crossover, and it's since been privated. Oh, they got out ahead of the playbook? I see it, because it was a minor scandal. Somebody there promoted it and wasn't supposed to. Is that what it was? Okay. Well, yes. You had slide rules, not calculators. And had to do square roots by double long division. Okay, well now you're way ahead of me. Well, this may be in the future. The whole thing about ratings and popularity doesn't have to remain a deep, dark company secret. I don't know, Steve, but I'd be thrilled if James Garner was in a big fight about residuals after the Rockford Files. I would love for that to be true. James Bumgarner, who my mom, among many others, helped with his math so he could pass classes. I don't think he finally graduated. I think he left high school for the service and then came back. Or he came back from service and he was older like all the returning vets were. And it was the mid-40s, though. I've got to find the video where I talk about that with my mom. You can't AI Christoph. He's quite unique and one of a million. I would agree. And one of our longest serving Portales in Portal 47. And supporters here on Tuesday Live. Okay. Yes, Matt, networking is key. So I'm telling you guys, when you're watching, if you're following all their, apparently Instagram is even better, but maybe I should post a list of some of the most active Trek folk on socials and let you see that. Okay. Well, thank you for trying to make up for not doing the poll originally, Sean. But these aren't going to count in my time window here. Well, see, this is the thing, Glenn. I didn't want to make this ridiculous. Season 1 was widely disliked. Season 2 was widely liked. But then you compare it to season 3 and 4. Do people out of 4 years really want to just talk about one season of Discovery? Maybe you were right. I was just thinking before and after the jump. I didn't even think about it. Well, it got much better, but yeah. What's it like? This is to me. What's it like going from anonymity to a con where people recognize you and geek out? It must be quite jarring. Well, it's been a while. It started to happen. See, for a long time, it was books. So if you were known for your companion or you were known for editing the communicator, and you weren't known in the States for anything with fact files, because that was the UK. And a lot of people to this day say, oh, I knew you from your little bitty picture on the editor's page in Communicator. Well, that's one thing that this streaming revolution has done. But no, it's fine. It's fine. Most Trek fans are sweet people. You know, the Comic-Con vendors will tell you Star Trek's got the nicest fandom. So that's been a thing. But I'm hardly a household face, much less a name. It's very sweet. Most people are very cute. And you know what? Before the companion days, and I had any kind of a national profile at all, and I was just at home, I don't want to say I was active in fandom. Again, I guess I was, and we started conventions, and you know, but that was like little tiny circle of local, you know, your peeps knew you, and a little bit far fielder than that, but they don't geek out too much. It's very sweet. It's very sweet. What was funky was in the days when people would first come up and say, "Your book was the first one I bought with my own money," you know, when they were 8 or 12 or something, or this was the best Christmas present I ever got. Oh, okay. And I was 10. I'm like, okay, it's like, that's fine. That's fine. The first 2 or 3 of those, it was a little jarring, but then after that, it was cool. You know, it's because I remember the first time I got to meet B. Joe Trimble and thank her for the concordance. And the first time I got to meet Shirley Mayuski and thank her for the Well Committee. And the one time I didn't think it was the one time at the time, met Stephen A. Whitfield, Stephen Poe. And the one time, and well, I guess I met him 2 or 3 times because I knew he was on the lot working on his Voyager book, and then brought my books in and he signed my making of. It's very cute. Star Trek fans are the coolest and nicest most of the time. Sometimes the enthusiasm gets them a little carried away, but it's all awesome. The results of the poll don't surprise you a bit. I was surprised that Discovery 1 and 2 got nothing, or that Picard 1 and 2 got nothing. You feel bad for being... No, Justin, be honest. Stand up for yourself. Absolutely. This is the thing. It was kind of arbitrary on my part, Toyota. For me, and you're talking... See, I started with Modern Era because by the time we introduced the veterans, the legacy shows into this, now you're talking about who's been a fan so long and who was there for first run and who only knows Next Gen or DS9 from reruns or from DVD or Netflixing. The Wilderness years, yeah. The fallow years won. But see, still you had TAS in the movies. And that's why I said the fallow years from Enterprise to Discovery, you had the Kelvin movies, but it wasn't the same, Captain. It wasn't the same. Yeah. So it's subjective there. Oh no, Louise, you're fabulous. Might be the other Jay-Z. No, we got him in the chat. So Jay-Z, if you're still around, I'll get in touch with you, but we'll need your mailing address, right? Yeah, it's up there. What are we getting to? Okay. What's going on? This is kind of roughly what you'd say, Christoph. Yeah. Classic era, Berman era. See, I don't lump the Kelvin in. I might, but I don't. The longer we have these series, the less the Kelvin movies are going to be this stub. You know, that's not a subjective comment. That's just structurally what they are. He's not from England. Otherwise, he'd be JZ. Exactly. Ha ha ha, Glenn, I count on you. Grin and Parrot, but not this week. Right. Yeah. There are times when she'd like to get a hold of him. I know. And thank you for sharing, Sean. Thank you for sharing that cultural difference. Absolutely. Steve's remembering our script for Star Trek. Yes. Poor Pambi was playing Uhura, and she had this ridiculously long joke line making fun of titles. And we should never show it. What do you mean we should never show it? It's an awesome blooper. It's an awesome blooper. Yeah, the line was what? Sir, I'm picking up the most exalted Lord High Grand Poobah. No, I'm picking up the most exalted of the upper level of the real cool guys of the so-and-so sect of the so-and-so so-and-so of Fred's Planet. And she couldn't get through it. It was very funny. Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Super chat, $9.99. Super duper chat. Yes. But for this hour only, it's yours for $7.47. Okay, Duralta, I will see. I may resort to our think tank and see who among the writers wants to JC, lower decks. Look at you, gone all YouTube. There you go, Prana. Okay. Yeah. The way Napster, LimeWire. Wow, I haven't thought about LimeWire in ages. It's like exploiting creatives. Exactly. And the writers don't want the music industry's blown. The only way anybody makes, which I'm kind of unaware of this, the only way anybody makes any money in the music industry is touring now. Where it used to be all about your records and your albums and getting airplay on radio stations. And not to be gripey old man on the yard, but when you blow up the delivery mechanism, you got to figure out how you tie money to that. And when you blew up commercials on terrestrial TV, you had to figure, and then cable subscriptions went away. You had to figure out how to reinvent that. Absolutely. Yeah. How many stores have you been in, retail shop, fast food, where the electricity goes out and maybe it's because the cash register, the cash box is wired to the electricity, but you can't even give people $1. Yes, it's sad. It is sad. People can't count back change in their head. Scott, hey, I'm glad. So hey, we're dental veterans this week, everybody. If you follow my socials, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but I thought it was a moment. Had nothing to do with Star Trek. Scott, we had a great time with Bill Wolkoff. It worked out pretty well. A little off, but he figured out that the pod made it great. So good deal. We geared down. Oh. Thank you, Rose. Thank you for the congratulations. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. Oh, this is anybody who wants to support Starbase Indy, which is coming in November, and I will be there this year. Your supporting fundraising dinner is a local dinner at BJ's Brewhouse in Greenwood, Indiana, beginning at 11 a.m. Time to donate. That's right off whatever. Yeah. Get off your Schlosson and cut it off. So there you go. There's a little plug for anybody in the Indianapolis area to go up and help local conventions. Okay. This is interesting, Duralta. Happy birthday, Pierce Brosnan. Do I think he would have been a good Julian Bashir? Well, if we couldn't get Sid. I know, you're talking about the James Bond connection. Yes. Thank you, Scott. From your lips to the great bird's ears, or your fingers, maybe. Although that would be something to see. I might be toddling down the hallway with Data by that time. Okay, let's see. Is Discovery a 7-year cast production with 5 seasons? Apparently so. 5 mini seasons, 5 10-year seasons. Thank you for following up on this, Steve. Jim Garner did file a lawsuit regarding residuals from Rockford from 83 to 89. There are a couple of websites that show scores of pages in the lawsuit. Well, that's like Gene finally getting a reckoning on his residuals for Star Trek. Because for years, Paramount told Gene and the actors, Paramount told Gene that Star Trek, the original series, never got into the profit. A little series for 3 years that Paramount was cutting the budget on when they bought Desilu. They made them spend less money. They revolutionized the syndication world. They revolutionized pop culture by bringing back a dead TV show that they think will make money as a movie, much less a TV series. And in all of that, they never made, it was insane, the Hollywood bookkeeping. But Gene used the leverage. They desperately wanted him to come back to do the TV. They wanted his name associated with the TV show. What they got a lot more, but they at least wanted his name, and he had him over barrel. And we love to disparage Leonard Majlis, but by God, if you're going to be a good cop, bad cop, at least be the best bad cop you can be. And got him the leverage where they finally, in fact, it's a wonderful story. Who is it tells the story on a Trek Files? Someone tells the story on a Trek Files about they tricked Paramount's legal attorneys. They thought there would be an accounting of Next Generation. It turned out to be an accounting of all Star Trek, and they didn't realize it. So they had to account and show them the books. And Gene got quite a hefty sum. And it also opened up the residuals for all the actors and anybody else who had been entitled. Although the contracts of the day probably only covered 2 reruns. But thank you for that point, Steve. The history, we so quickly forget the shifts that create those loopholes, and then how people have reacted to it, usually with lawsuits or hard charging negotiation at the least. Okay. I am looking for into the chat and everything. Yeah, I mean, I wrote some. Most of my Fact Files work was getting resource material for the art. All those CGI ships and blueprint drawings and exploded rooms and 3D angles. You're welcome. And just finding it, much less getting it to the artists that could do it. And thank you to Midsummer and Aerospace for paying us very well to do that. That wouldn't have, thank you. They were overseas. An American company would never have paid out what they paid. But then again, through now 3 iterations, through the Thick magazine and now through the Eagle Moss Ship magazine, they're reaping the profits. Believe me. Yes. Would I lie to you? Yes. On YouTube, you can see the Facebook. Okay. Yes. You met me and Bijo at the same time? Okay. How visible is it? Okay. Okay. Ending up 6th anniversary show here. Wow. Okay. 10 days more till CBS network TV premiere of Star Trek Into Darkness, still streaming on Paramount Plus. That will be interesting to see the ratings for that. Well, this is what I said. I don't dislike the animated, the Kelvin timeline. I just like do something with it. Right now, it's literally a stub. What's the point? What does it matter? Aside from your personal relationship at a certain time, but 20 years from now, what's it going to, 10 years from now, what's it going to matter to? Unless they bring it over into the prime somehow, if that becomes a thing, then Katie bar the door. Okay, well, you guys all debating whether Orville is the best Trek or not. You can keep right on doing that. Including the Trek voices that worked on it. But yeah, this is going to be something. Paramount Plus just bought the rights for a Galaxy Quest show, which was tied up in legal tangles. Why they never just made a movie for years. You would think it was dying to be a sequel. And then they wait till Alan Rickman's passed and everyone's gotten older, and you can still do that. But yes. Well, there you go. Okay. Even in the 90s. But if that was the way it was in the 90s, then yeah, what did digital revolution do to music? So, okay. Not my industry, but there you go. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah. They used to go on the tour to support selling the records and albums. Now they go on tour to survive, to eat. Well, you'll have a chance very soon, Scott. Maybe writers go on tour. Let's see if they can fill stadiums reading their stories, if they're allowed to do that at all. Well, yeah. Although, that's what Mark Twain did. That's what, not exactly, but that's kind of what Will Rogers did. Oh, look at you, Melanie. Happy Trekland Day. Okay, that's one way to measure. Tuesday's live day. Okay. And hey, Willie, glad you could make it. Thank you, Rose, for those accumulations too. Accumulations. Of course, Pierce Brosnan would make an excellent guest star in a Trek at some point. Absolutely. Well, Donnie, I think you're not alone on this, but I totally respect the fact that Discovery was a game changer show for a lot of people. Absolutely. Well, this is true, although is it stealing? It was all legitimate and above board, but yeah, it was a little underhanded. He was desperate. Okay. And this is true. They wanted Sean Connery to be Lawrence Lookup, to be Cybok. Wouldn't that have been something? Yes. Nimoy having his own image issues, right? And only paid him when they needed him for the motion picture. Right. Okay, end of the chat days. And Rod, yes, absolutely. Rod is doing a lot of good with the money. The Roddenberry Foundation is channeling a lot of that money into good works and good deeds for the future. Okay, 6 years, 6 years, 6 years. Oh, that's right. Okay, Scott. The 50th anniversary event at Paramount. The May 5th. It was the promo. It was actually the promo for Beyond, right? Yeah. I never think of it as the 50th anniversary thing because it wasn't in September, was it? Right? Yeah. Okay. You're very welcome, May. There we go. Right from Bill. So now when you see that name, so many of the modern show writers, they're still faceless. They haven't been out there yet, and barely the showrunners. So Mike McMahon, Terry now. But a lot of Discovery folk and a lot of the Strange New World folk have barely been out there. So there you go. And today is the 10th anniversary of Into Darkness. Would you believe Stid is 10 years old? I cannot believe it. There you go. Everybody, thank you so much for being in with me today. Trek well to everybody. Once again, I should say, even though it's a 6th anniversary special, I want to thank, where are they? I want to thank all of our live wires, our TTLers, and my Patreon. And just a quick reminder, thank you. And a quick reminder that if you want to help me out with the Patreon, I keep it very simple so most people can. $5 or $10 a month for a shout out like that, and access on the $10 level on the live wires, access to the early years of Trek Creatives, the first few years of Portal 47's archive interviews, Thanks so much. Hey, this is my reminder too that it's turning into summer and the fall seasons. And if you're on vacation, if you're doing business in LA and you want to take a day to visit some famous Trek location, if you want your own customized away mission, not on stages, out in the open, get with me. We'll set you up with a Trekland Treks. I'll work it out with you. The big ones, the little ones, we'll go to 4 places in a day, have lunch. I'll pick you up at your hotel, treklandtreks.com. It's awesome. And this week on the Trek Files, I haven't even mentioned the Trek Files. We've got a brand new show. Thomas Marone from Star Trek Online. Yes, he of the cool ship making, who's had ships now become canonized thanks to Picard. He's our guest, and we talk about one of his interests, Gene and everyone else on original series Star Trek, their military lives, World War II generation, and its impact on Star Trek. And that we've got a cool document. We've got some of Gene's military paper is our document of the week. You can catch it anywhere, but Trek Files Facebook page is where we've got the document and the link to the audio. Check that out, the Trek Files, and all the fine podcasts at roddenberry.com. Otherwise, around the horn, I'm Larry Nemechek at Twitter. Catch me there, Larry Nemechek's Trekland. Like and subscribe the YouTube. Instagram too. I'll be forwarding things that I see on Instagram from the writers and the strikers. Portal47.net is where you want to be. We've been really blessed the last few weeks. Things are finally opening up where we can talk to some of the recent shows this month, and they don't even know it yet. This month, Patrick Stewart's stand-in for the last 2 seasons of Picard is going to be our Portal 47 guest night telebriefing guest. So I'm looking forward to catching up with what the modern TV set is like. Filmed right up the road at Santa Clarita. I love the backstage folks from the stage. They're a big part of what I'm about talking to. And I can't wait for that. And yes, Portal 47ers, tomorrow is the European and midday American Ask Dr. Trek Roundtable, so get ready for that. I haven't set the emails. Everybody, thank you so much. One real quick reminder, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, this Saturday for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation's latest Hailing Frequencies Open. It's Walter Koenig and my shot to not interview him, but have a conversation. I only hope we can do as well as the guys did on Shuttlepod Show when they had Walter on. Of course, our focus is going to be about Nichelle and her works and Walter's memories working with Nichelle, both on the show and in all these years since, as they both kind of reinvented pop culture. That original series cast. That's happening. And then, yes, Monday is the Cisco Day. Apparently, it's theciscoday.com. It's on our chat. We'll be there. I'll be there with some interesting Avery /Cisco /DS9 related hour. Be watching for the schedule to be announced coming up. Lots of fun things are coming up. And if you folks in the greater LA area, be paying attention. There should be some news coming down the pike very soon. That's it. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for these 6 years. I can't believe where we started, how it started, and where it's gone. That should be a thing. Thank you. And thank you to Bill Wolkoff again for joining us, for being able to take some time, brave the crazy tech wiring ability, but that's where we are now, which in itself is a symbol of what they're fighting for. Things change. It's time to not only grow up, but be fair, and be fair to everybody involved. There's no shortage of money in the pipeline. Okay, everybody. So if I may be seeing you, I may see some folks tonight at this motion picture screening. I may 4K. I may see you, hopefully, maybe we'll see you in the chat room on Saturday, maybe on Monday. Lots of stuff going on. Of course, I'll see the Portales, a lot of you tomorrow night. Night for me, midday for you. Or backwards. So, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, however you're enjoying your trek, just, be healthy, do all the things. Stay woke, check your sources, and trek well, everybody. Thank you for 6.